Hi guys, welcome in today's podcast of the beginning of the GPR. Once upon a time, there was a director. Used to work for BR, but decided to make his own railway. It was his dream. His father worked as a director of operations on another railway, and he wanted to do the same. He found an old branch line which had been put out of service in the 40s after the merge of the GWR, the LNER, the LMS, and the Southern Railway into the BR. The branch line had gotten BR. It closed in the 50s. I sometimes make mistakes. Don't blame me, okay? Good. In the 50s, it was turned to BR and was closed for inefficient services. So the director decided to reopen it as his own railway. He found a large shed with all the doors closed. Roof was dented. He had this picture from a workman who had given it to him. So he decided to take a train to the branch line. It's called the Charles Bright branch line. So the director went on a train to near Liverpool was the Charles Bright Railway. He went to Liverpool, then took a drive which was 3 hours to Charles Bright. As soon as he got out, he found a big station covered in dirt and rust. He approached a shed, the turntable a bit wonky, but it could still run. Then he heard wheezing and said, "Who's there?" And a whisper cried, "I'm Jonathan. Who are you?" The director was surprised. But then he said, "Do you want to be part of my railway?" Yes, sir. Let's see who you are." As he opened the doors, he saw a Great Western 14X100. It had BR crest, scrap writing all over it, foliage, and it was rust. The director said, "I will put you as our first engine to our line. You'll be the pride of our railway." The engine, after he got out, got straight to work after getting some maintenance. Still with a wonky funnel, he still worked hard, taking passengers across the line and goods up and down the rails. There were only 2 stations which they could go to. Charles Bright Station was the first station, and the final station was at Soywolf. Soywolf was the final station of the line. In between, you had one station which had no name for some reason. We won't get that name until the next episode. Next podcast, it will be named after one of the engines who was served well. Jonathan was a hard-working chap, but it was soon clear he needed some help. I will get more engines to help you. The director looked in his index and found 2 engines available from BR. A tram engine from the LNER, now under British Railways, and a tender engine, an experimental tender engine with no use for BR, which was in its LNER paint job. The director decided to buy the 2 engines. They will arrive in 3 weeks. You can still work, right? Of course, sir. And the work he did. Damn, those engines, what are they doing? Said the director on the phone. He found out that the 2 engines were delayed because they were being used on BR as helping engines to a branch which wasn't working well. So they were delayed by the BR didn't know the exact date, but BR promised they would give the director his engines. Soon, the director began to have more and more money and started paying in maintenance and safety. Soon the railway gained more reliability, but they wouldn't open until they had more than enough, 2 more engines to help with the workload. The engines in question were the finest chaps in the country, but BR didn't care. They only cared about how strong they are, and both the engines were that strong. The director decided what were the jobs of the 3 engines. Jonathan would pull goods trains. The tram engine, who the director found out the name of, was Will, and Will would be doing shunting, and the 3rd engine was Matthew, which Matthew would be taking passenger trains. We didn't have an express. The director didn't want an express yet because it might be too expensive and it might cost the railway dearly, leading to bankruptcy. So no express for a few years, he thought. Maybe that will change. The railway was gaining popularity from contractors. Farmers wanted the engines to join to get contracts like delivering cows, getting milk and from them and feeding it to meat, which instead gave money to the farmers. The farmers were now back in business with new contracts which kept them alive. The engines on the line would puff, puff, puff forever and ever. They would never stop. the director decided to get some more engines, but they wouldn't arrive until near August. They would arrive August, and it was March. The railway was flourishing. The first Christmas of the railway would be soon, and everyone was excited. The workers, the engine, Jonathan. Jonathan was alone, so he asked a worker to be his friend, which is why the railway was thriving. Everyone was working, the engines were working, everything was great. The railway ran smoothly, puffing slowly, fast. They even put up the speed from 60 to 70 miles per hour. The railway was full of life. The yards, however, were a mess because there were no shunters. They need a shunter soon, which in turn led to a sixth engine coming. We had 5 engines because 2 were from BR, 3 not 6, 5. 3 were from 3 other railways. One was a blue furnace K2 mixed with a D16 experimental engine from BR, another engine, a Great Western Pannier, and finally a much larger engine, which I must not say about because he will be a critical part in the 3rd podcast. Nothing will be mentioned more about him. So keep your guesses because I'm not telling till it's the 3rd podcast. The railway was flourishing at the peak of its power. Even though there was one engine, the railway still flourished in full power. The railway soon attracted inspectors and BR, which asked that they could deliver trains to the GPR, which was the new name of the railway, the Great Preservation Railway of Liverpool. They only called it the GPR. They didn't call it the GPLR because it was unlike LNER, which have the ring to it. They just wanted to reminisce of the Great Western Railway and the other railways which had fallen. We had a BR, but one engine would have a critical accident. Jonathan. He had been going fine, but soon had one problem on which happened. When he was puffing up the line, he chuffed and chuffed, but then his safety valve burst because his firebox, he had too little steam. and his safety valve first. He was sent back to the works by a tow with a road vehicle, the first major accident of the railway. Soon the railway lost safety and reliability, but the railway had to come up. The director went to the maintenance shed to check on Jonathan. "How you doing, my boy?" I felt better. Ugh. Ow. Are you hurt? A bit. You need a full maintenance. I think I do too. Ugh. Now I feel even sicker. Operation stopped because the engine was sick. The director was sad. Lots of people were sad about Jonathan's accident. But after his maintenance, he looked fresh as a daisy. As he puffed off to do his duties quickly, efficiently, which gave as much money as they could have ever dreamed for. Soon, a new coal company opened. They didn't have any engines yet, so they used Jonathan. Jonathan was losing it because he had so many jobs which he couldn't do. So they said they would when they got another engine, they would accept their offer. The people of the railway loved the engine and decided to volunteer to drive it. The director accepted their offer and let them drive the beautiful engine, which is Jonathan. Jonathan said he wanted to keep the BR emblem because if BR died, then the GWR would die with it. Because BR is technically GWR, LNER's, LBSC, and LMS, so if all the railways died, then there would be nothing left of his old railway. A quick history on Jonathan. Built in the 1940s, Jonathan served in the wars. First serving as a war deployment engine which delivered ammunition to London from Liverpool. Soon it got too much and an engine replaced him. So Jonathan was moved to the Charles Bright branch line. And Jonathan worked with other GWR engines before they left before the closing of the line. A few years before GWR had closed, most of the engines being scrapped and replaced by diesels. Only 3 steam engines were left. One was named Duck, who is from Sodor now, as you may know. This interlocks with Sodor. And a third engine, called Vic. And all these engines worked tirelessly, but BR shut it down. Most of the engines left, but Jonathan was forgotten and left to time to rust until the director found him. The greatest thing which happened to the director was finding Jonathan and creating his own railway. Later, after all the things had been cleared up about Jonathan's accident, he got married and had a wife. I will not tell their names, but they might be influential to people who like cool names of Britain. Here guys, don't forget to subscribe at the end of the video, which is now. See